What's up, everybody? It's Jay from Diesel Dungeon Studio. I just wanted to give you a tour of the place. It's freshly built. We've been here about a year, so it's finally done, and already had a few sessions going on. We're really proud of the results, so here's a tour of the place. Well, let's go on in. We start with the steel door here. All important, keeping some of the noise out from the rest of the building. Got a layer of drywall glued here with green glue, which is supposed to be soundproofing glue, or at least aiding as a layer in soundproofing. So we got steel, green glue layer, and drywall. It's just regular 1/2 inch. Acoustic foam is not soundproofing by any means. Next we got the floor here is all, obviously looks like laminate or hardwood, but it is all vinyl flooring. It's all vinyl, so it's completely waterproof. God forbid there's ever any problems. First off, you'll notice that my voice is not very echoey in here. It's not super dead in here. It's actually just very, very comfortable, very neutral. And we'll get into the acoustics later, but I just did want to make a note of that. So we start with the main pit here, the console. This is a one-room studio. It's, once you get used to it, the workflow is so much better dealing with the talent in the room. It's way easier to get stuff done, especially if you're working alone without an assistant. Got a 40-inch flat screen up there. I'll get into the acoustics in a minute, but just got an LED flat screen up there, running HDMI from an iMac 27-inch. It's got a terabyte, 12 gigs of RAM. Got an external terabyte underneath there. Of course, got to have the monitoring the humidity at all times with this gear. Got some AKG semi-open back headphones. They're the K240 MK2s, I believe. Beneath there we go to the retro rack here. Nothing too fancy, but just my power conditioners. Got a Furman and an ART, and a couple of old stereo receivers. I love this here. This was handed down to me from my dad. It's actually a Marantz 2270 stereophonic receiver. I actually use this to power some JBLs. Those are used kind of as midfield, and they're going through stereo EQ here. I wanted them hyped, so I can use that as kind of like the consumer reference, right? Above that, I just have a Sherwood amp that I'm using to power some Minimus 7s, and they are the ones from Japan, the original ones, from the 70s, I believe. Got a headphone amp that I use to power a couple of small little consumer devices I use for monitoring. A little mono 2-inch clock radio speaker. It's got an auxiliary input, believe it or not. What is this? Electro Home. But this is awesome for like your little iPad, iPhone kind of a reference, since so many people listen on those things, unfortunately. But it is what it is. Got our big knob here. This obviously controls everything to do with monitoring in the studio, and I'm, as you can see, pretty much using as much as I possibly can of it. We've got a pair of Behringer BCF 2000s. They're used as a control surface, so they're all motorized faders. I'm just going to switch it back here, as you can see. So they basically just do what the session's doing. Above that, we've got something from the late 60s here. It's a Shure M68. It's a microphone mixer, or was once used for that. I use it as like a little analog dirt box to overdrive some stuff. It's got a really cool vibe. We've got our mono Auratone here. Here's the mains here, the M-Audio BX5A Deluxe. I've used them so much that I've learned them, and they've served me just well for plenty of different things. So I'm happy with them for now. There's the Minimus 7s I was talking about. Radio stations use them a lot of TV studios. They're actually awesome for getting like horrible honky sounds out of things that aren't so obvious on the mains or any other speaker. Some Logitech PC speakers here. You gotta have them. Everybody uses PC speakers. Little sub with them. And then a KRK 10-inch sub down here. I have it on just filling in the bottom of the low end where the mains cut off. Interface is an Echo Audiofire 12 ins and outs analog. Chameleon Labs stereo 7720 compressor. Use it as a bus compressor. It's supposed to be like a clone of the SSL G series master bus compressor. While I've never used or owned one myself in real life, I can say that compared to the plug-in, the SSL emulation, I can definitely say in a blind test, this definitely sounds more open to my ears. Got a Pro VLA2 down here by ART. I have it modded with some Russian Svetlana tubes. So here's the JBLs I was talking about. I use those, like I said, in like a midfield position. I kind of wheel back a little bit and listen to them from afar. Sometimes go to the other side of the room. Awesome salt lamps from my wife. So this is how I mix usually. Puts me in a nice mindset. This I just have for extra preamps. Gap Pre 73 MK2. It's a Neve style preamp. A DBX 163 here. Gotta love the one slider over easy. More if you want more compression, slide the knob. You can use it as a DI as well. There's the jack right there. Awesome for a mono room squasher. And we got PreSonus M80 preamp, 8-channel. Got a ART Pro MPA2 modded with some. It's a tube preamp. Got to have the Magic Mouse or the Expert Mouse. Sorry. All the early reflections. Excuse me. In the corners, we got some super chunks going on. Some 4-inch thick Owens Corning 703 bass traps on the front and rear walls. Get to the rest later. Some 4-inch thick, same stuff up here. Everything's OC 703 in here. There's no foam other than a couple spare pieces, which you'll see in a minute. So that's straddling the corner up there. And we've got more down here. You can see them there. Straddling the floor. Overhead, we got just the 2-inch thick stuff. It's spaced a couple inches off the ceiling. The reflections trapped on the sides here. These are also spaced 2 inches off the wall. This is not a fancy keyboard by any means, but I run it in MIDI. Gotta have the lava lamp. Got the little mic locker here. Got all my dynamics, condensers, kick mics, some spare mics, homemade sub kick. Wait till you hear this thing boot up. It's a piano organ from the 60s. Made in Italy. You gotta have it. Gotta have some fun, right? Yeah. Let's give you a long shot of this wall here. So here's where I sit to mix. And there's the rest of the room here. All of this gray stuff you see is not foam. It is they're diffusers. They're only about 3 inches deep at the deepest well, so I would be very surprised if they diffused anything any lower than 800 hertz, but it helps keep the air in here crispy, and you know, just having it all the way around instead of bare walls was better than bare walls, of course. We have a crate, just a single 12 2-amp Class A tube amp here. This is not a bass rig by any means, but it's my bass rig. It's like a PV PA monitor from, it's a monitor amp for a PA, but man, it's got some growl, and it's kind of like a boxy kind of a nose that sticks out, and it really punches through. This is not a crate speaker. It's just a 15-inch speaker in a cabinet here, but it sounds really groovy and a nice retro tone, especially with a P bass. These are on some isolation risers here, similar to the Orlex Grandma riser. These are a la J, homemade. I actually do have the same thing underneath my subwoofers. Some shorty stands for drum miking and such. Got all the cables there that you could ever need. So the drum area has diffusion on either side, absorption on either side, behind, and even those corners there, those are super chunks again, just like the mix position has. But they have diffusers on the front, and bass can travel through diffusion. I wanted to maintain the highs. 4-inch thick traps on the walls here, 2 inches on either side, 2 inches above, and here's the rest of the ceiling traps here. So we've got 8 in total. I'm using a Tama Silver Star kit right now. It's birch, and I love it. It's killer for recording, also punches really great for live. Down here we got the Snake, which is in some more headphone feeds for guys on the other side of the room. This area rug I will roll up and take out of the room when we're tracking drums, or mic stand, some more mic stands I should say, headphone central. These are great. You got to get a pair. Extreme Isolation EX29s. I got to show you this wall here. There's the door. LED lighting. These don't get hot. These have been on for a while. I'm touching it, they're not hot at all. And there's no buzzes or hums or anything in the equipment. And that is it. So I'm going to say goodbye, and until next time, thanks for stopping by. See you again soon on another video. Take it easy.